Welcome back. Brian Calfano along with our Ozark's first contributors, Amy Blancett of the Drew Lewis Foundation and Missouri State and Fairbanks and all. And we feel like slouches.
I just have one job.
Yeah, right. Nick Reed, who's over at KSGF 1041, morning show host, and they're both Ozark's first contributors, so it's good to have you here. March 10th is the Missouri primary, and it matters for the Democrats particularly here. We've got a Democratic field in disarray after our neighbors to the north couldn't figure out how to count and didn't realize that people didn't know how to use apps, and don't even get me started on Iowa. But I'm wondering if you think that the latest poll that came out by Missouri Scout, which we say latest and we really mean, it was the latest we could find, but it's not that recent, end of January 2020, has former Vice President Biden at 39%, followed by, of all people, Mike Bloomberg at 14%, Buttigieg, Klobuchar, Sanders, and the rest bringing up the rear. Undecided 15%.
That's where I fall. Undecided. Right now, it's chaos.
All pre-Iowa, and of course pre-New Hampshire. So this field may be scrambled, but I don't know, guys. I can't really see Bernie Sanders pulling this sort of thing out. I think there's too much common sense among folks in Missouri, even the Dems. I just throw that out there. I mean, can you see the Missouri Democrats saying, oh, we're going to go for Bernie Sanders now because he's just more inspiring than Joe Biden? I don't know. What's your take?
Why don't you start? This
I
is
know,
a little more.
This one is a little difficult. Well, okay, so it is interesting because we got to talk about if you're going to be voting for a Democratic ballot, how do you vote? And then if you're going to the primaries and you don't intend to vote as a Democrat, how are you voting? Because we're seeing that conversation happen a lot as well. How are the Democrats being swayed or changed based on individuals on opposite parties coming in and trying to manipulate? So do we see that Bernie Sanders has a potential because we know that individuals who are going to vote Republican later are saying, hey, put him on the ballot?
They're going to jump in, yeah.
We think that he is potentially a less likely candidate to win. So there's a lot of conversation.
It's true, but that doesn't really happen to the extent needed to flip.
Yes.
There are people who try to do that. It always is something people talk about as a threat. It doesn't really materialize. I mean, if it's a close race, it's always possible. Yeah. And maybe it'll be close.
You were asking how Bernie might actually get on the ballot in Missouri, and I was saying that might be the only way.
Well, I get you, but I'm saying, do you think Missouri really is running kind of the middle lane here on who they pick? So you're looking at a Klobuchar or a Biden if he's awake by the time. I keep saying all these nasty things.
I was surprised that, honestly, when I saw that, I was a little surprised that Joe Biden was at the top. It's, like I said,
this was momentum from before, though, I think.
I think so. And that's why I'm really curious to see. We should have something coming out soon that's going to show potentially some updated numbers in Missouri. I think the undecided might actually increase after what we've seen in Iowa and now the news of the anxiety that's happening in Nevada and whether or not that is going to have the same chaos on. They're really trying to go with technology, and I think we've said this a couple of times. What happened to paper? There is not as much of a stake in paper, and
well, and I mean the caucus prospect itself is just ridiculous in terms of pulling these things off anymore. Why? Just go vote, drop it in the box, and leave. But I digress. But I was wondering. I mean, really, the Democratic Party in Missouri, I keep pushing Nick on this because I just want him to engage with these Democrats and have to think like a Democrat for a minute. If you were going to vote in the Democratic primary...
As a Democrat?
Yeah.
Or?
Well, not as a mole or anything, right? So, or as some rogue voter.
I don't know, which is the problem that Democrats are having right now.
It is.
I mean, and it is. There's no clear front runner. Right. And early on, there were these great hopes there would be a moment in which somebody did something, and it was a breakaway. But that just has not happened. And the further removed from the beginning of this, the less likely it's going to happen.
A lot of Dems that I'm seeing on social media who are worried.
Yeah. Well, sure.
They are scared that the chance of losing this thing is going up and up and up. And I mean losing the general election.
Well, and part of with Biden, too, it's just a feeling. And it just seems like he's not in it.
He's running kind of the Fred Thompson campaign.
Yes,
from
exactly.
08, where he
You're
sort of
exactly
was like,
right.
I'm going to get in this soon.
That's exactly right.
And you were wondering, like, Do you need to pitch
Yeah.
the guy? Give him some Vivarin? What is the deal?
And
Or
here's-
is he waiting for everyone else to tear each other so far down? You kind of play in the background.
He's played too
That's
much.
what
stay out of
Bloomberg's
it.
doing now,
And
yeah.
then, right. Both of them are kind of like, well, and then we're going to jump in when. And the other problem is there's so many variances in how extreme individuals are in some of the beliefs and things that they're pushing, that it's like, well, but I want a little bit of what you're talking about and a little bit of what you're talking about. And if we could get someone who was a little bit more mellow in all those areas, but still dynamic in each of them, it would be obvious. And that's what's happening is we've got people who are extreme in a number of areas, but we know nothing about them
Well,
in
maybe
a lot
they
of
ought
other key
to
areas.
nominate an ensemble. So
Correct.
basically say, okay,
Can we just
well,
get a...
Council. Well,
Yeah.
this
It's
is
the job's too
council.
big for any one person anymore.
this is Biden's third official run
10th.
for the presidency.
Right. And he's
fun
tanked
quiz.
the last-
Fun quiz. How many states has he ever won collectively through all of them? How many states has he won?
Oh, I think
None.
the answer is 0.
I think the answer is 0.
Yeah. Well, he was awful. And the only reason he's in the position he is now is because he was Obama's vice president. I mean, he is an awful campaigner. I mean, when you're the senator from Delaware, really, what does that make you? You got to go to a couple of Wawas or whatever they are. There's little checkout places and shake some hands. There's 7 people in Delaware. I mean, it's not that hard to end up being
No,
the
it's-
senator from a state like Delaware. And so you look at this and you go, how did he get to the position that he's in? Well, there you go. He's been catapulted because of Barack Obama. But really, the goods aren't there. Potentially, Missouri Dems, you got to figure this out because March 10th, big day. You don't want to get this wrong. Remember what happened the last time.
Well, and to the point earlier, it's an open. Missouri has open primary, so when you go to vote that day, they ask you what ballot do you want, and if you know a lot of Trump support, they may, just for fun even, oh, pick a Democrat ballot. You know, Trump's going to give them this thing, Tulsi Gabbard.
Man, well, we'll be keeping track of what's going on, folks. We'll have some updates on this. But good to have you both, Nick Reed and Amy Blancett, with us tonight. We'll be back after this.